currently 15 degrees here in Brisbane, 32 minutes past 8 p.m. Let's get into it. So, a couple of things I wanted to talk about today. First one actually is about Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, and the discussion around the difficulty. People seem to be struggling with it and are therefore mass downvoting it on Steam. So we'll go over to Steam right now. As you can see, it is currently sitting mixed at 67% of its 41,798 reviews are positive. So that's pretty good. 33% of people have review bombed it for various reasons, or at least they're negative reviews. They might not be review bombs. As we'll see, some of the reviews offer valid criticism. Many reviewers have actually stated that, the performance of the game is terrible. But anyway, let's have a quick look down before I get into reading the reviews, and then obviously sharing my opinion of whether or not the game and difficulty in gaming, whether or not video games in general, Souls-likes, whatever the case may be, should have difficulty scaling. But anyway, we're going to get into that. We're going to save that for the very last because I don't think a lot of people are going to enjoy what I have to say. So here's our first negative review, posted on the 25th, so posted today, even though I said no. If you are a Dark Souls fan, this might be a yes. I finished Elden Ring 5 times with 5 different builds. The DLC is too hard and takes away some of the fun from Elden Ring. Only build style works. Tank. All the other builds are extremely difficult. It feels like never feels like you're getting stronger. Even with a lot of Erdtree blessing buffs, you are easily hit to dead. Easy to hit dead. Majority of the loot is smithing stones and crafting items, which most builds are complete and don't need, and storyline is missing a lot. So far, I haven't found anything about Torrent or Millennia, like how she got Torrent. Lore doesn't grip like the main game. Okay, so this guy, I'm assuming guy, that's very, wushu. Pretty not PC of me. They're clearly having a bad time. They're saying it's difficult. So these are one of the people that are saying it's difficult. Person saying review bombing the game because you suck isn't going to make it better. Simple as. Classic get good. Sounds like a bunch of game journalists in here. This one. Really cool final boss. Part of the moveset is lowering your FPS below 30 mid-fight. Also casts FPS stutters as an attack effect. There are some performance issues. Okay, we're going down. If you're on a PC, I'd recommend you avoid until the issues causing sudden frame rate drops are fixed. Final boss is straight out of Nexus mods. Yeah, so we can see this is just a very small snippet of the reviews. There's probably a lot more. We can delve into it just a little bit. However, we can see that a lot of the reviews are about the performance. Many reviewers have stated that. Fextralight also said that he suffered some pretty bad performance related issues. Not as bad as the release date of Elden Ring, but the DLC is still suffering from a lot of these PC related issues that we're seeing more and more of in the AAA space. And it just kind of sucks when it's coming from someone like FromSoft, especially after the launch of Elden Ring. You would think that the DLC, which has been 2 years in the making, would at least launch in a good state. But that being said, let's have a look at Bandai Namco's response. So this is actually Bandai Namco responding on Twitter to people having issues with difficulty in the DLC. And naturally, this is coming from Eurogamer. Elden Ring publisher calls out Shadow of the Erdtree players struggling with the difficulty. This is a suggestion to level up your Erdtree blessings. Now, I suppose I really should have got this at the very start of the video with my history of Elden Ring. I have 48.8 hours. I had a look before we started this video in Elden Ring. I never finished it. I think it's a very, very good game, a fantastic game. Even I just happened to have other things pop up in my personal life, and then I kind of forgot about Elden Ring. I went to go back into it after a couple of months of not playing it, and it just didn't click the same way. I just kind of felt overwhelmed by the open world nature of the game. Something that happening a lot lately with open world games. I'll save that for another video, but that's my history with Elden Ring. Don't think it's bad. Never finished it. Not going to play the DLC. So the article starts. Elden Ring publisher Bandai Namco has called out, in quotation marks, Elden Ring fans struggling with the difficulty by suggesting they level up your Erdtree blessings. In a brief message posted on social media platform X, Twitter, Bandai Namco US said simply, "This is a suggestion." The best advice coming straight from the source, as one Tarnish suggested. Thanks for the tip. Say explore the map and upgrade the Erdtree blessings, rush the bosses and call the DLC hard. So yeah, Bandai Namco is simply saying use the mechanics we're giving you, level up, don't just rush to the end. So I think from what I hear, the DLC adds almost 40 hours of gameplay. Like, it's massive. It's well worth the price of entry. So it's not something you just rush through. It's an entire game. The article continues. Some are speculating that Bandai Namco's message follows the news that Elden Ring's Shadow of the Erdtree DLC has fallen to mixed user review on Steam, which we've seen after players logged their disappointment with the PC version's performance issues. An aggregate score of almost 27,000 players have seen the critically acclaimed DLC stumble on PC, while most players comment favorably on the game's stunning presentation and world building. Others take issue with the capped FPS stuttering and bosses with jerky roll catch movements and a plethora of physically nonsensical moves. If you're having trouble getting to the DLC, fear not. Elden Ring pros are helping players beat 2 key bosses to enable fellow Tarnished access Shadow of the Erdtree. So this is just going on now to saying how other players, Tarnished, are helping players beat Scar Scourge Radahn and Morg Lord of Blood. So yeah, anyway, usual thing that happens when it comes up with Soulsborne games. Lastly, the article goes back to say From Software's Soulsborne games are notoriously difficult to beat, but creator Hidetaki Miyazaki recently said it would break the game itself to turn down the challenge. If we really wanted the whole world to play the game, we would just crank the difficulty down more and more, but that wasn't the right approach, he said. Had we taken that approach, I don't think the game would have done what it did, because the sense of achievement that players get from overcoming these hurdles is such a fundamental part of the experience. Turning down difficulty would strip the game of that joy, which in my eyes would break the game itself. So yeah, look, that is coming from the director himself. A very, very valid point. I think that's something that's very, very important to keep in mind with what I'm about to say. Firstly, video games are art. Let's get that straight. They are works of art in a sense. Not all games are works of art. Is EA Sports and Madden and FIFA and all those things art? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Seluna's Saga, which recently released, can't remember how to pronounce it, and I seem to be struggling with English today. Either way, that is a form of art. It's less of a video game and more of an art piece. One could even argue Ragnarok is art. Ghosts of Tsushima would push the boundaries in terms of art. I would say the same with Elden Ring. However, and this is where it's going to get a little bit controversial, however, it is still a video game. And in 2024, the fact that we don't have modular difficulty in games is just baffling to me. If you've played Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, you will find that you can customize everything. You can customize the XP you get, how difficult the enemy's critical hits are, just everything like that. The player can make it their own. Now I get what Miyazaki is saying. You sense the sense of achievement that players get when they play a Dark Souls or a Bloodborne or anything like that is overcoming these obstacles. People's lives change though. You may be a person that can play Elden Ring for 8 hours a day for weeks on end, and then something happens. You get a new job, you have a child. Suddenly your time to play shrinks. So how are you meant to play your favorite video game series in your favorite genre if you don't have the time to get good? And this is where we come to this fundamental understanding of what difficulty is. Sure, there are people going to be having an easier time or wanting an easier time where they want to simply breeze through it and act like I've just conquered Elden Ring. I don't know what you guys are on about, that type of mentality. And then there are people who just don't simply have the time to play, which is why we need an alternative. So what we're going to do, we're going to go over my ideas for how we can balance that sense of accomplishment that Miyazaki is going on about versus allowing players to have fun with a game they might want to try or a video game series they don't have time to play anymore. So let's call this Soulsborne. Comic Sans, I know everyone's going to appreciate that. Soulsborne difficulty ideas. All right, so number one, let's lower difficulty, if I can spell. Lower difficulty equals no achievements. So this is idea number one. Very simply put, you can allow the player to lower the difficulty, but they don't have access to the achievements. You know, that can be the platinum trophy on PlayStation or the whatever the equivalent is on Steam. It doesn't really matter to me, whichever it is. I'm not a big achievement hunter. I do it for the games I love. Persona 3, love that game. Got it on that. Ghost of Tsushima, another one. Persona 5 Royale. That's what I'm currently going through at the moment. But the point is, if the player wants to lower the difficulty down, maybe they're struggling with a boss, maybe they just don't have the time, lock them out of an achievement. So here you go. You can have your game, play it how you want to play it, even if we don't agree with that, but you can't get the platinum trophy, you can't get the gold trophies, things like that. It allows more people to enjoy the game. And remember, those people out there that gatekeep games, if someone out there who has never played Elden Ring before, or Dark Souls, Soulsborne, or anything like that, they pick up, they're used to playing Fortnite or FIFA, or those are the first games that come to mind, whichever game it might be. They will not suddenly decide to pick up Dark Souls. It's just not going to happen. Sure, a few people will give it a shot, but most people, even if you can lower the difficulty, it's just not for them. Okay, so that's idea number one. If we go down to idea number two, lower difficulty equals missing weapons or bosses. So again, very simple to the last point. You're locking out achievements. In this case, maybe weapons are missing, maybe particular boss weapons are missing, or entire bosses aren't available because you've decided to play it on easy mode. Easy peasy. Again, it's such a strange concept in 2024 where we're still having this talk around Soulsborns and how they don't allow people to enjoy the game. You have to almost treat it like a job. And sure, I can understand people who enjoy that type of thing. I myself am a massive fan of Nioh 2. Nioh 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. It is such a fantastic game and notoriously difficult. I banged my head against that brick wall so many times, but it was a lot of fun. And things that helped me in those scenarios, and particularly in those very difficult moments, the final boss in particular, summoning other players, allowing other players to help out. You could have 2 other people, or you could join missions of other people and go and help them out, or they can help you out. Obviously in Elden Ring, you can summon other players, other Tarnished, other Shadows, but really, Nioh 2 allowed the game to be experienced the way it was meant to be experienced, but you could lower the difficulty by simply teaming up with people. It would make for a still fundamentally good Soulsborne experience without breaking too much, allowing people to have fun. And that's the main thing we want from games, and something that video games are missing, I think, the sense of fun. You can have your sense of accomplishment, you can have that sense of pride, whatever the case may be, but we still need to have fun in our games, particularly with the way, don't want to get too dark in this. We're talking about video games, but the way the world is, people need a little bit of a chance to relax. So that's the discussion for here. This is my lower difficulty. That's my 2 options. There's a few other things you could do. Again, just ideas. We're just spitballing here. What are some other things we could do? If we could customize. If I can spell. We'll leave it like that. That's fine. Customize difficulty equals locked off areas. Not a big fan of this one, but again, it's still something that can be done. Or missing features. There we go. We don't want to get too carried away with that. The point is, I think it's high time that, and I'm not saying this directly to the developers at FromSoft, absolutely not in whatsoever, but I really think it's high time we get off this high horse where we make things permanently or particularly difficult just to be difficult. Elden Ring I actually thought was the most approachable of all the Soulsborne games, oddly enough. Dark Souls Remastered was my first experience with Souls franchise. Again, never really finished it, just ran out of time. Something came up. Dark Souls 2 I never touched. I struggled with Dark Souls 3. I think I got 15 hours in and I just, no. Demon Souls is amazing. Love Demon Souls. Demon Souls Remake was absolutely fantastic. I do want to do a video of that one day. But anyway, that's what I think. I really think we should have these customizable difficulties. Now, I really do think it's something that should be here in 2024. And I think developers really need to start taking that on board.